It is the hottest
BroadcastMedia.com, Chicago.
And around the world where your voice is heard. This is UBM Talk.
Now here is the Let's Stay Together show with Reverend Ricardo McCain and author Brenda McCain, helping you to rebuild your relationships with God.
All right, welcome to the Let's Stay Together show. I'm your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. And for those of you all a little sophisticated, that's my wife of 21 years, my covenant keeper, author Brenda McCain. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing great.
All right.
I was missing you, baby.
I was missing you too, boo. I just love you.
I was
those people make me go to work. Shame on them.
Shame on y'all.
Keeping me from my woman. Shame, shame, shame.
Well, okay, shame on them. But hello out there.
Thank you for the job, though. Go ahead.
There you go. Thank you for the job. Again, hello out there. And thank you for joining us again on the McCain Train tonight. We have a great show for you tonight with current situations. And you know it's a lot of hot topics going out there. So I'm going to get right into it because to see God's glory, we must share our backstory.
Yes.
And our backstory tonight is going to be all about humans.
Human.
And how we are.
I'm only human.
No, sing it, baby. But let me. But it's about humans and how we see ourselves and our foundation of our values and our choices that we make, and also how we judge one another, which we shouldn't, but that's what it's all about. But we want you to join this conversation and call in at 312-754-4333. So, baby, you want to start off with the first topic that's burning everybody?
Yeah, well, you know what's going on. The first topic we're going to talk about is the Steve Harvey mistake. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. The world has ended because Steve Harvey said the wrong name. Can you believe the nerve of Steve Harvey to say the wrong individual? Now, y'all might think that I'm picking on Steve Harvey because I'm gonna do an amazing turnaround on you in a second and tell you about why I think that what Steve Harvey has done is a miraculous thing for somebody. So I'm like, we've all heard about the pageant, Miss Universe thing where Steve Harvey said the wrong individual. And then all of a sudden, Steve Harvey had to go back and say, I've made a mistake. And I know nobody has done that before because you know how people are. Once you make a mistake, they're going to dump pile on the rabbit. For some of you all older people that used to look at Bugs Bunny, used to hear him saying, dump pile on the rabbit. Dumb pile on. That's for some of you older Buzz people, Bunny. So you probably don't know that.
I don't remember that.
But for those of you all that are listening out there, you always have somebody jumping on somebody about something because nobody else has ever made a mistake. And so, unfortunately for Steve, he made a mistake and said the wrong name for the person. And Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, there are even websites that wasn't even known talking about him, about what he's done wrong. And it is just amazing how people are just jumping on this situation. So, of course, when we're talking about current situations, we've got to talk about Steve Harvey. So I kind of want to know you all's opinion about this before I go on. Baby, what you got to say about what happened to Mr. Steve Harvey?
Well, when I first seen it on the news and on the internet and on Facebook everywhere, because this is a
television.
Sizzling, television.
They was even Morse
topic.
code in this stuff. It
was an honest human mistake. People make mistakes, but the backlash came hitting hard because he is a man of color, and the first thought was he won't ever get invited to come back to host this again. That's what was the first thought. And then the second thought is, okay, is it a joke? Which, most people want to know, did he plan this? But I don't think it was a joke, was it?
No, it definitely wasn't a joke. And a lot of people didn't think it was funny, and they talking about him and putting the brother down and making him look bad and making it seem like he did something wrong. But I'm going to tell y'all something. There was something amazing that happened. I've been talking about this on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, that what he did was amazing. I just want to know from Tracy kind of like what she's doing. Tracy's doing our public media, and she's putting her stuff out on Facebook, and then she's going to be talking. Tracy got so many hands right now, I'm going to start calling her octopus.
Hey.
But so what do you think about this situation, Tracy?
You know what? I really, really felt sorry for him when it happened.
Yeah.
You know, I was like you, Brenda. I thought, oh, my God, this is a joke, because no matter what Steve says, he's funny to me.
Yeah.
And when I realized that he was serious, I just, oh, my God, my heart went out to him.
Yeah.
And to come back and be as humble and apologetic as he was, I was very proud of him. And I do want to say this, too, because someone made a comment on Facebook that he didn't do anything extraordinary by apologizing, that he just did the right thing. No, they were actually praising him.
Oh,
you know,
praising?
They were saying that why is everybody trying to make it seem like it's so astronomical special that he did it? He did what a man was supposed to do. He apologized.
Right, but most men don't, or most people in a situation
that's
like
what they
that,
said.
They don't apologize, because the way the story did hit the first time, they said he walked off the stage and didn't say anything. And then as the news kept unfolding, they said that he did a very sympathetic apology towards Miss Columbia for that. But before I know, his situation overshadowed who the real winner was. Mm-hmm. But the thing that gets me, let's put ourselves in Miss Columbia. Let's give her a spotlight for a minute.
Did one of them not speak English?
Mrs. Columbia, I don't think she spoke English.
Well, their English was totally clear.
Yeah, I don't think she knew what's happening. She's like, the way she looked around, like, huh? What do you mean I didn't win?
Yeah, I'll be looking that way too. I walked halfway down the aisle with my flowers and crown.
But go ahead. I'm gonna clean that up in a second. But go ahead.
I was just saying, we have to look at their shoes. These pageant girls work hard. They've grown from, God knows, little pageant women up into teenagers to young adults. This is their world, Miss Universe, rather. And I mean, just to know that that's been, what was that title? The wrong Miss Universe is briefly crowned. To have that title as the shortest Miss Universe?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and again, now they were saying a lot of things about Steve, saying that he first tried to say the teleprompter told him something else, and he couldn't spell the thing right, and then there was some news out there that said that Steve didn't go to the all of the meetings, and the meeting that he was supposed to go to where they ended in showing the card and how to read it, he wasn't there, so that was something. They were all trying to build up a whole case about how he made this mistake. But
it's easy to build up a case.
Yeah,
on
it is. But let me tell you something. This is what I think. I think that Mrs. Columbia is the luckiest woman in the world right now.
Why?
You know why I think because she was the runner-up. Nobody would have ever known about this woman if she wouldn't have gotten to the point where the mistake happened.
Absolutely.
Without the mistake, she's nobody. How many of you all out there listening to us right now remember who the number one runner-up was in 2014?
No.
This woman is going to be infamous in the Miss Universe history. She's going to be known back in 100 years from now, where we're calling people in the air, because telephones will be in the air by then. You just boop, 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 and you'll be calling people in the air.
Yes.
Back in 200 years from now, people are going to still remember Miss Columbia, because she was the one that got called to be Miss Universe, and was it? Before then, she was nobody. She was just a runner-up. She'll never be known. Now, she's in infamy. She's going to be more famous than ever. So much so that most people are talking about her and not the actual winner themselves. Yeah. So this is what I got to say to all the people that are talking about Steve Harvey or making a mistake. Steve Harvey, this is Reverend Rick McCain. On the Let's Stay Together show. Can you make a mistake for our show so we can get that famous?
We can get some publicity too.
Let me tell you something. Steve Harvey, I know that it's probably killing him, because he is, I don't know Steve Harvey that well, but anybody that knows Steve Harvey, tell him I said this. I know the man that he is and all that he went through. He's hurting more. He feels terrible more than anything that anyone could say about him, because he's a good, decent man. And so I know it's killing him inside that he did that. But look at it. She became famous. I want Steve Harvey to make that kind of mistake. Everybody out there listening, if you know Steve Harvey, you tell them the Let's Stay Together show comes on UBM at 6 p.m. Please, Steve Harvey, please make a mistake and mention something about the Let's Stay Together show so we can be famous, please.
Please. Steve, this is Brenda McCain saying the other half of him. Come on down. Talk to us, Steve.
Right. I mean, you know.
Tracy's going to follow you and say it.
Help a brother out. I mean, Steve Harvey is an awesome individual. I mean, very awesome individual. And so for them to sit there and make it seem like, he did this big mistake. This woman is lucky. She is so fortunate. She's going to be now more famous in her own country. They're going to just love her forever. She's going to be able to walk around and eat lunch for free everywhere because everybody's going to be talking about how she got stolen from the crown. Honey, you didn't have the crown. You never was supposed to be the number one winner. And so now when your name got mistaken, all of a sudden now you are famous. I think instead of crying and making people feel that you got robbed, you need to go and call Steve Harvey and say, I don't care in what English you can do it in, call him and say, thank you, sir, for making this mistake because this mistake has made me famous. And she didn't have to do it the Kardashian way.
Okay, now.
If I may throw that out there. She didn't have to do it the Kardashian way. A mistake was made. So again, Steve Harvey, please make that mistake for me.
But you know what, Rick? What gets me is that, like I was mentioning to you earlier, Vanessa Williams. When she was crowned the first Miss Black America, and she was dethroned, and the girl that was the runner-up became Miss, according to the Miss First Black America. What was that girl name? People really don't know it. That helped. That one thing that messed Vanessa up that they thought would dethrone her and mess her name up and she won't do anything made her famous.
Right.
So that's how that works. It's always like that runner-up get more recognition. The person who's been defamed, you think you done tied them down. They're the one coming out just building stuff. I mean, Vanessa, great singer, actress, did Broadway, does everything. And I'm still wondering, what was that girl's name?
Right, but here's the question. Do you know any of the girls' names from Miss Universe at any time? Nobody knows who they are. You can't, unless, of course, you in the Miss Universe circle. Nobody knows who the Miss Universes are.
Right.
You know, after a year, when they even running, nobody knows who they are. When they get the crown, nobody knows what they are. This Miss Columbia is going to be known for the long time. She's going to be forever known in her life. Because of that, she's going to be a Jeopardy question, y'all. Do you understand me? She's going to be.
She is going to be a Jeopardy question.
This is Alice Trebek, and this is Jeopardy. Now, the question for entertainment today is: who was the lady in 2015 that was once Miss Universe for 5 seconds? I got it, Alex. It's Miss Columbia. That's what people are going to be doing. She's going to be a trivia question. Every trivia game is going to be out there. Her name is going to be out there. History, Wikipedia is going to write about her. Are you kidding me?
But you know what, though? It's all in the right marketing tools. If she is smart enough and has someone to interpret things for her, she could really capitalize off of it. But if she go down and say, "Ooh, woe is me, I didn't win," because in all honesty, I'm going back to what people like that who are pageantry queens and go through this. They want that crown. They live for that crown. That crown represents their platform for that one good solid year to get out there, even though she could still do that. But the difference is, you have that crown. It's like your golden nugget. But see, she don't know how blessed she was. And I told Rick, it's a backdoor blessing, and she know how to use it. If you could spin that in your favor, have a great agent, marketing director, or better yet, get in Steve Harvey's ear and say, "Hey, you messed this up. You're about to help me out."
And if I'm Steve Harvey, I'm gonna say, "Honey, I already helped you out. You need to realize that you've been helped already. You've been blessed by the best." We ain't gonna go. You know, I know most of you Christian people saying that's Jesus. I'm talking about she been blessed by the best way that she could because you was a runner-up, and no one would have ever known you. You were gonna fade back into darkness, and no one would ever know you. But Steve Harvey made a human error, and that's what we're talking about, a human error. Now because a human made an error, you're famous. He don't need to apologize for anything. I'm glad that he did. That's the human thing to do. It was a mistake. It wasn't something he wanted to do. But she is going to be blessed by the mistake that he made. And
unfortunately, Miss Philippine, congratulations.
I couldn't even remember her name till you just said it.
Her glory was stolen.
Yeah,
That's the only thing. You want her to have her walk down that aisle with the right name being read, with the crown being on her head.
I felt like the crown was tarnished.
But she still got a chance to walk down the aisle.
But all that fanfare went.
It went away because it's like
that got a little bit taken away from me. But you're still going to get the benefits and everything else from being that. That's a part of the mistake that you can't take back. Mm-hmm. That it takes a little bit away from her because now she was the real person, and that for that moment it takes the spotlight off of her forever. And that is unfortunate that
that because the spotlight is off for her. Like Tracy just said, I didn't know who the real one was.
I couldn't even remember her name. But you know what I want to say, and I'm trying to post it to the page now, and I'm having difficulties with this new Facebook share thing. Help me out, somebody. If you guys know how to get these shares to work right, please give us a call, post on Facebook, and let me know how to do it because it is really stressing me out. But I'm trying to post this video where, I don't know if you guys saw it, where Steve Harvey was being interviewed with all the reporters, and he was apologizing for what he did.
Yeah.
I found that it was so gracious of the gentleman that was on stage, who was there representing the contest, who came up and just said he made a mistake.
Yeah.
And this is the last I want to hear of it. And he was from the pageant.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was so amazing. So after that, it was like, okay, nothing else said.
And the fact that they decided to bring him back again, and the Miss Universe said they wanted to bring him back in. He was informative. He was funny. He really helped the show and bring energy to the show was great as well. Hey, if you're out there listening, give us a call at 312-754-4333. We'd like to hear your opinion about this, good or bad. What do you think about what Steve Harvey did, the mistake that he made? Was it a human mistake? Did it hurt? How did it go? This is Reverend Rick McCain with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain. And we've got Tracy on here as well talking about the Steve Harvey mistake. Now, one of the other things I'm going to say, too, here is that I do like that, Steve done it, but I'm going to help Steve out in another thing. Man, use this thing, capitalize on it. There should be some marketing people right now saying, Steve, we got to go on tour because our tour thing, I blanked it up. And you talk about, and y'all can put you want to put the curse word in there? I wasn't putting the curse word in there. I blanked it up and go on tour, man, and be human about it. Yeah, I messed up. Do one of those Martin things. What's that boy's name that did Martin?
Martin
Lawrence.
Martin Lawrence. Somebody's heck. I was waiting for the last name.
I was going to say Payne.
Right.
Cause when he did that, when he went through his little episode, man, use this thing. You can go on tour and do a whole comedy thing about this. Talking about, man, I blanked up. But talk about what happened, and also talk about, hey, let me tell you something. There's some good came out of this, too, because this young lady here from Columbia is getting very blessed by the mistake. And I just wish people would just, realize that mistakes happen. I believe 100% in my spirit and soul that he did not intentionally try to do that, and he felt terrible. And
it's too much at stake for that, for him, for people to say it was a joke, that he did that on purpose. I mean, what does he have to gain for that? That's Miss Universe. That's a franchise for some. That's not his Kings of Comedy thing that he could play with. That's something that you don't mess with as Trump. No, you don't mess with stuff like that because you get ousted. But the thing is, breaking it down, that's a brother that made a mistake. And you sort of thought in the beginning he would never be invited back. But thank God that's not the case.
Well, let's also say this. Now, if it had been Wesley Snipes doing it, he wouldn't have been back. Okay, we're talking about Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is a well-recognized name. If Reverend McCain would have made that mistake, he wouldn't be on UBM today. They'd be saying, we can't have you on this radio anymore.
You're a liability.
You're a liability. Steve Harvey's not a liability. Go ahead, Tracy.
And I think because he was so gracious about it, you couldn't help but, just like I said, just want to take him, just hold him and say, it's okay.
He was classy with it, though.
Yeah, very.
That's the thing. He showed sophistication with it. For the comedian to do that shocked people. It's the fact that you thought it was a joke, it wasn't a joke. He owned up to his mistake with dignity.
Yeah, and that dignity and humility, and that's the thing about it, because it hurts when you have to sit there and say, I made a mistake. It's almost like that Fonzie moment where you have to say, I'm sorry, back in the happy days if you're old enough. You know, it's so hard. I mean, and most of us are not in front of millions of people across the world that watch Miss Universe. Most of us are not making mistakes like that. So let's look at that as well. You make a mistake maybe on your job because you did a paper wrong, or you put a 0 on somewhere that shouldn't have been, or you signed something that you shouldn't have signed. Only people see that is about 2 or 3 people at the most. Right. Or you'll be at a football game and maybe you fumble a ball and 100,000 people look at it. This is across the world that people are looking at this, and he made that mistake. And to be so humble and gracious with the response that he did, it says a lot about the character of the individual. Black, white, Jew, Gentile, it doesn't really matter the color or the ethnicity of the individual. It's just the fact that most of us, if you want to really look at it, let's look at it this way, people out there that are listening. You don't make mistakes in front of a mass audience like that. And so what would you do if you made a mistake in front of someone like that?
I just got in from someone that in 2006, Mrs. World was, I think the host was Alan Thicke, and he totally messed it up. So if you could pull that up, Tracy.
That was some blurred lines, wasn't it?
Alan Thicke is the father, I believe.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
So which year was that, Brent?
2006. Miss World.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we know mistakes happen.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that it was an honest, mistake that, that could happen to anyone. And, of course, Donald Trump gets on there. This wouldn't have happened if I was still in charge. Sure it would. You know how many mistakes you made? You've made so many mistakes. They don't know if you're a Republican or a Democrat, liberal, conservative, or just.
We don't know if he's human.
Yeah, well,
that's what we're talking about, humans.
I mean, we know that he's human. We just don't know if he realizes it. You can't sit there and say, if I'm in charge, this wouldn't happen. This is not going to happen. Come on now.
Yeah, that's totally
just sit there and make it seem like because you don't own the company anymore, that it wouldn't have happened, because mistakes happen. There's a lot of mistakes that probably happened on that show that we didn't see because it wasn't public. There may have been a lot of snafus or issues that may have happened in Miss America where a dress that, the person didn't get dressed right, or a shoe broke and they had to change it. There's a lot of behind the scenes mistakes that will happen that you don't see because it's not visual.
But babe, going back to it.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate mistake
of
all mistakes you can make for Miss Universe, any pageantry. Because I keep putting myself in those shoes when you thinking, they didn't call my name, they didn't crown me, gave me the flowers, my sash, I done walked down here, and now you about to dethrone me, and I'm supposed to be gracious and just say, oh, okay, if I'm understanding the language, and then have the crown. I mean, can you imagine the humiliation, even though we hope she get blessed from this, but the humiliation she must have felt when the other lady had to come and take the crown off her head. And Tracy, remember, we tried those crowns on.
Yes.
Those are heavy crowns. Take the crown off her head and then place it on someone else's head, and you have to pretend, and you're pretending that you're happy for that person, and deep down you're happy for them, but it's like, wait a minute, now I would be happier if I was a runner-up number 4, but I'm right here, and I walked down the aisle with that crown. Yeah, it was an honest mistake.
Yeah,
but it was the worst mistake you could make.
It was the worst mistake you can make.
For that type of situation.
For that type of situation, it is the worst mistake that you can make. However, let's look at it and not in the negative, but in the reality of the positive. You would have never been able to get that crown on it. That mistake didn't happen. You were never supposed to have the crown. But yet now, because you wasn't supposed to have it, you've become infamous. So you can sit there and say, how bad she would feel because she didn't have the crown, or she had the crown for a moment. You should say how blessed you were, or how thankful you should be that you got a chance to see what the crown felt like, because you was never supposed to have it in the first place. And now, because that one blip happened, you now, instead of being fading in the darkness, you become a instant celebrity that everyone knows. Can I have that mistake, please? I wish that I can get in the position that Steve Harvey is in to make that kind of mistake. Do you know what he has to go through to get to that position, to make that mistake? So to sit there and say, oh, woe is me. Yeah, it was a mistake. It shouldn't have happened. But for her to get what she has gotten from that, which is more than the winner actually has.
What did they say she gotten from her? Because I didn't hear
publicity.
Oh, yeah. I say,
Jesus.
I couldn't even remember Miss Philippine's name until you just said it.
I can guarantee you this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this real quick. And from 100 years from now, people are probably going to remember more that Miss Columbia didn't get the crown than they will who won. Mm-hmm. They won. What was that country that actually won? Right. They're not even going to remember. Now, that's the hurtful part for her. But for Mrs. Columbia, no, you fortunate. And I think that one of the things that bothered me the most is that someone kept telling me one of them didn't understand English. So somebody there was totally confused as to what's going on. Well, they were confused anyway, but somebody was extra confused.
And
so
the sad really part, if it was Miss Columbia and somebody just like, come here, I got to take something off of you real quick, and they taking it off, that would really been distraught. Like, oh my God, they taking a crown off. And she knew when she received it, but if she sure don't talk English and didn't know they was taking it off of, you confiscating the crown off my head. I just couldn't. I wouldn't want to be in those shoes that day, just walking down the aisle like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be in those shoes. But in retrospect, okay, so let's look at it in retrospect. If this never happened, who would be Miss Columbia? She'd be the runner-up. Nothing else. She wouldn't even be known.
That's true.
That's it. Now, a mistake happened. There's no one taking away the fact that Steve Harvey made a huge mistake. Not even Steve Harvey is taking that away. But the fact of the matter is that if somebody can make a mistake and make the Let's Stay Together show blow up right now, that all of a sudden everybody wants to interview us or everybody wants to put us on their radio thing, please, please let me know so they can make that mistake.
Hey, make that mistake, people. Steve, you know, and we spell it M-C-C-A-I-N, but if you want to spell it M-C-K-A-N-E, that's fine, too. Hey, stay with us, because we're coming up next, we'll be talking about Tennessee teen dies. So, and we still be talking about the Steve Harvey, so stay with us, and thank you for riding on the McCain train.
Good evening. This is Reverend Rick McCain, and this is something you should know. It's only 3 days until Christmas, which brings me back to the child in me. Being excited about opening my presents and wondering if my parents got me everything I really wanted. I was full of joy and happiness then, but Christmas doesn't seem the same anymore. Gone are the days of my youth and the innocent joy of looking forward to one special day. However, these days, I'm not sad. I'm even more happier than I was as a kid. Why, you ask? Because I understand that a child was born to save me.
give me everlasting life. And he did it even before I understood the amazing gift he provided for me. I can sing joy to the world. The Lord has come. My soul rejoices when I hear, hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. And I truly know what O holy night, the stars are brightly shining means. It is the night of the dear Savior's birth. The days of my youth are gone, but the joys of Christmas brings back the kid in me, because Jesus Christ was born. So, have yourself a merry little Christmas from the host of Let's Stay Together Talk. For Brenda, Tracy, and Stephanie, this is Reverend Rick McCain with Something You Should Know.
Here's what's going on this week on the Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Join us next week, December the 29th, 2015. Our topic, Reflections, 2015 Year in Review. Praise Production presents Generation Black, an American Renaissance, January the 16th, 2016. Martin Luther King weekend at 7 p.m. at the Harris Theater at Millennium Park. This theatrical production looks at present-day society and how race and color are depicted. Performances will move audience to tears while creating a catalyst for change. Come witness the experience of a lifetime. For tickets, visit harristheaterchicago.org or call 219-805-9074. Help New Faith Baptist Church International fight against Ebola and learn more about the Living Water campaign. Go to Amazon to support the Joseph Assignment. Go to www.smile.amazon.com. Right after our show, you could tune in to hear some great preaching at New Faith Baptist Church International with Pastor Trinell Felder. This broadcast comes on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. at WJYS. The Let's Stay Together Talk Show is going into the new year with some great new segments added to our show, such as The Next Stop and Making Marriage Work. We can't wait to have you on board for the ride in 2016. The Let's Stay Together Talk Show would like to say to all our loyal listeners, Merry Christmas. This concludes our announcements.
You are now returning to the Let's Stay Together Talk Show.
How about this? How about some efforts in trying to recovering from a real blunder at the Miss Universe pageant? Steve Harvey announces Miss Columbia. She was crowned. She had the flowers. She had the crown. She had the wave. And then this happened. Watch the win and then the mistake.
Miss Universe 2015 is Colombia! I have to apologize. The first runner-up is Colombia. Miss Universe 2015 is Philippines.
You're on candid camera. And then it was really awkward. The now retiring Miss Universe had to take the crown off the person who thought she was the winner and then put it on the actual winner as well. He also, then Steve Harvey, felt terrible about it, so he tweeted out an apology, and we're going to show it to you. Here it is right here. I want to apologize emphatically to Miss Philippines and Miss Colombia. That was a terribly honest human mistake, and I am so...
So he was saying that he was so sorry that it happened. And, you know, we were talking about that earlier and with the Steve Harvey mistake. And it's amazing how that happens. But, Tracy, I know you got something you want to add on here.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Steve Harvey was not the first person to make that mistake. Besides the mistakes of, they saying ladies falling down, not having the right answer, Alan Thicke announced the wrong winner in 2006. Why didn't we talk about that?
Yeah, because I told you those are blurred lines. You don't talk about that now. Yeah, I'm on all day. I'm all on day.
And that was 10 years ago. And when it did happen, and you said Betty Sabah is about to come out, so I got to reel her back in. There's a reason. Okay, there's a reason why I wasn't saying nothing about that then.
But and again, but here's the thing: 2006, we don't know who any of those people are. But you're gonna remember this woman.
You will.
You'll definitely remember her. There's going to be a lot written about this, and so I just say for Miss Columbia, I know that it seems like you've gotten robbed from something, but you need to look at the riches that you're going to receive from that. And for Mrs. Philippine, hey, I tell her to roll with it too. Unconventional as it is. Have some fun with it. Somebody on her that's working her publicity also should be saying how they can use this story to their advantage. Because if they don't use the story to their advantages, they're not going to be able to capitalize off of that. We're talking about giving some tickets away. So I want you to call in at 312-754-4333. We're going to get some movie tickets away. You've got to let us know who is actually what we were talking about. What was the benefit for the show that Steve Harvey made a mistake on? And we're going to talk about that in a few seconds. Hey, we've got a caller on the line. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't have a caller on the line. You don't have to smack me on my hand. Jesus Christ. I feel like
maybe they need to Facebook their answer or something.
If you tried to call us, the lines have been down, so we apologize if you're not able to call in. If you have anything that you want to say about the Steve Harvey situation, go to our Facebook page, which is the Let's Stay Together show, and you'll be able to send your questions in, and we'll bring them up on the air.
Or if you're bold enough, make a comment and on Facebook where we could read it and address what you're saying, for you can still join the conversation.
Right, because we'll definitely get you in there, and let you know that, make your comments about things. So now we're going to switch gears a little bit for a second, and we're going to talk about the Tennessee death. Hey, Alvin, can you play that clip, please?
Well, tonight's shooting comes on the heels of a violent night in Knoxville last night that left an innocent 15-year-old football star dead. Xavier Dobson was killed in the crossfire of gang activity last night. Knoxville's chief of police commended Dobson for the way he spent the final moments of his life, shielding 3 people from gunfire. He was a brother, a teammate for the Fulton High School Falcons, and a friend. People who knew the standout sophomore said he had a bright future ahead of him. Countless people honored his life at a vigil in the Lonsdale area where he was killed. They lit candles and spelled out his name and his jersey number, 24. 2 girls who Xavier shielded from gunfire, Kiara Rucker and Faith Gordon, talked about those terrifying moments.
The time it was over, she had opened the door. We went inside, and I was like, Xavier, I was kind of pulled on him, and I was like, you can get up now. He didn't get up, so I just went upstairs, and I came back to make sure everything was real. When I looked at him, he had got shot in the head.
Well, both Kiara and Faith say had it not been for Xavier, they would have been shot. They say he also protected another boy from the gunfire.
Oh, wow. So, those are stories that really trouble me. Young man, 15 years old, sitting on the porch, relaxing with some friends, and somebody comes out of nowhere shooting a gun. He does a heroic thing to sit there and try to protect his friends. It's a couple of young ladies he was with, to shield them from getting shot. And he winds up getting shot in the head and dies. We talked about this a little bit last week with a First Lady from New Faith Baptist Church. Hey, New Faith, love you all out there. All of our guests, we love you and thank you for listening. We need to do something about African Americans shooting and killing each other. I know other races do it. I'm going to be a little prejudiced here, if you don't mind. I want to see it stop in the African American society community. this is senseless, and we have too many of our kids that are dying for nothing. This is absolutely nothing, and I believe the reason, baby, that happened was this young man did something with his mom.
Oh, okay. As far as the person, the shooter, Brendan Perry, he shot his mother that morning, and she was in the presence of a 10-year-old child in the house, and I know she was hospitalized, but this boy went on a shooting spree, and it just so happened that he ran across 4 individuals that included Xavier William Dobson. And to just think of the integrity that young boy had to become a human shield to protect 3 of his, I think it was girl classmates.
Yeah.
Just, I can't even imagine that, how heroic he was. And I think they assumed that, that he was, when he was down, that he would get up. And just the fact that he was shot in the head, saving 3 lives.
Yeah. And then the story says, the young lady said, her name was Kiera, she said, if it wasn't for Xavier, if he would have just ran off the porch, we would have probably been shot. And so here it is. He sits there. I mean, heroic thing that the young man did. I mean, you see it on television, and most of the times people live, nothing happens. You don't see an everyday person, that is putting their lives in danger like that, and just happened to get, struck in the head and killed. He did a very heroic thing, and for something like this to happen, it's just sad. 15.
Did they say they caught the boy?
I think they did catch him because he ran into a house or something like that.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Inside, he was in a BMW that crashed into an elderly woman's home. Mm-hmm. Now, it just makes you wonder, what is the mindset of this young boy? Matter of fact, it's like, well, how old was he? 23? This was a man. A young man out here doing this, killing kids. That's just terrible.
Nowadays it doesn't seem to matter who does the killing, who gets killed. It's happening all over. I think my kids again lost another classmate, I think last week or the week before, to violence. So, people don't even want to be in Chicago, and like I try to explain to them, it's happening all over. And this is an example that it is.
Mm-hmm. This is in Tennessee. It's like really no state it's exempt. It seemed like I hate to say, but it's all races. It's not just us. We seem to get on the news faster, but it's all races that do all of this killing.
Yeah, there is a lot of, things that happen with other races. But, again, I'm concerned about the African-American race. I'm going to be a little prejudiced here and say I want it to stop within our race. This is a systematic problem that we need to look at to a point where we need to understand, why is this happening? What are we not providing for our youth? What are we doing? What should we as leaders, as African-American leaders, do to see that we can stop this? I mean, because back when I was younger, this was not a big issue. The biggest thing you would do is you would have to fight somebody and have a black eye. Now we have kids, one kid gets killed because his father's in a gang and he's like 8 years old and he gets shot. I mean, this didn't happen back then. So I want to know from our leaders, what should we be doing? And everybody out there should be a leader. All of us that are listening to this radio station, you need to start examining yourself and say, what can we do to stop this from happening? I mean, when I used to play baseball and there were gangs out there, they wouldn't bother the baseball player because they said he was doing something with himself. Don't bother him. What happened to the point now where we are so envious of each other that we are rather, destroy the fabric of our youth, destroy the foundation of the African-American culture to a point where we don't care that a 15-year-old has died. This is becoming so trivial to a lot of people, like, oh, another one bites the dust. But why? What are we
That's
doing?
the question. But why? When did it change? Why did it change? Why are we going through this? And I know a lot of people say, oh, the hip-hop culture came into, and it's really our generation of kids. What is that generation called? Generation X now?
That X one, yeah.
Yeah, it's our kids, our offsprings more so doing it, because we will have kids in our 20s. We will have kids, some people who started late might still have a high schooler or whatever,
Right.
but it's that generation. It's like, I'm not blaming hip-hop. I know drugs have a lot to do with it, but then, too, it's like, okay, if it's our generation that did it, why didn't we teach them morals?
I think that children nowadays, both boys and girls, have no fear. I'm being
You're right,
honest
they
with you.
don't.
They have
don't.
no fear. Like one of the things when I was watching a video, not a video, biography, whatever you call those things, documentary. And one of the people asked what did the kid want, what he wanted to be when he grew up, and of course he said, I want to live. They don't have any concept of fear. The way they talk, the way they act, the way they carry themselves. And I have to say it even with my own kids. I'm always constantly saying, don't come in late. Watch your back when you're doing this. Mom, we're fine. We're fine. Kids nowadays have no concept of fear.
And, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to disagree with that a little, because someone saying that they want to live has a concept of fear. I think that the thing of it is that we have a generation of people that want to walk around like they're tough and they're bad and they don't fear anything. They sit there instead of having a career in mind, and your first thought process is that I want to live, then that shows that there's some fear in our society, that people are afraid that they're not going to live past a certain age. When I was younger, that was never something I thought of.
Never.
I never thought about not living. We used to watch TV and see people dying. We just knew it was TV.
Right.
We never
We
thought
think
about
that.
that. Bugs Bunny used to fall off of something with acne all the time, and we never worried about dying. These kids that are sitting there saying that they're worried about living shows that somehow or another we have failed as a society to better help them to be able to, to bring them into a society where they're thinking about education and having a family and doing right and being an important part of society. We failed them somehow. And I don't mean the African American community. We as humans, and we're talking about humans again, we as humans have failed when we sit there and we've divided so much that we're saying, I don't care because they're this race, or I don't care because they're that race. We should care because we're all human.
But you know what? I'm going to go back to the fact that Xavier William Dobson died a heroic death. He became a human shield to protect the people that he truly cared for. At 15, that young boy has so much courageousness in him and honor and integrity to help someone, because the first thing you would think about is saving yourself. In a situation like that, diving to the ground, running, fleeing, but yet you covered 3 young women so that they can live. But in essence of what you were saying, we're going to go back to the fear thing. When you I'm going back to God. When we was little, we feared God. I still fear God, and I feared my parents. In a 2-parent household, they were like God in that household. Kids do not have respect for their parents. It's a lot of single-parent household, and the structure of the family has been broken. So if we could take it all the way down from God, the father, the mother, then the children, but not. Unfortunately, things happen. It's single parents. They raising their children. Mamas are doing the best they can do. Heads go off to all those single mamas holding it down, being the mother and the father. And when you have those good fathers that come every now and then. But once we take things out, it messes up the structure and the dynamics of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and I agree with you 100%. I'm glad you said that. I didn't want just the preacher to have to say that taking out, God, to me, has been the biggest structural problem that we have, because when you take out the head, there's chaos. The people perish because of they don't have any vision. They don't know where to go. When you take out the vision, which is God, out of the equation, and I know there's a lot of people that may be listening like, but part of it. You cannot sit there and say, if you take the father away from the child, that child is going to grow up. You can't say that. And it's true. A son does need a father. A daughter needs a mother. If that is true, then when you take God out of the equation, you've taken out the father, the one that leads, the one that provides, the one that directs. And we have taken that out of the United States to a point where there is no in God we trust anymore. It's just in United States we trust. And when you have to put your full trust only in the humans have frailties. Yep. They fail. They do things wrong. They pick sides. Some of them are Republicans, some of them are Democrats. I mean,
some of them don't know what they are.
Some want to like the White Sox, some want to like the Cubs. I mean, we pick sides. But when you have a God that doesn't choose sides and he's fair to everyone, and the society doesn't have that same, because we go into the world now, we know that life is not fair. And so if that's the case, then we've already taken out the structure that keeps things together. How are we going to be able to say that we're doing something right for our children when we've already taken out the most powerful thing that a child should know, which is Jesus Christ, your personal Savior?
And I remember reading an article a couple of years ago about a pretty little chocolate girl, and they was asking her, what do you want to be when you grow up? She did say the typical, I want to just grow up. But if I die when I'm in 8th grade, now what is 8th grade age? 12, 13,
14.
She was picking out how she want to look in her casket. Reading that, just like, what? You're 8th grade. You're not even in 8th grade, and your life expectancy is 13 years old because of the area you live in. You didn't think you would make it to see 13, to be a teenager.
That troubles me, because there should never be a child's life that they should be thinking about not making it. Not at that age. At 20-something, you shouldn't be thinking about that. But when we live in a world now where children are worried about making it past 8th grade, then the world needs to stop and reflect on what.
To this story, with that article, it wasn't like she was sad of not living beyond 13 years. The sadness was she was telling us what she wants to look like in her casket, how she wants to be pretty in this color, and if she could have her hair this way. I never, ever read or spoke to an individual that said anything about how they want to look in their casket, because you don't want to think about death like that. Yeah, but she was planning it out. And to me, you that little girl, the 8th grade, you have an 8th grade dance. Maybe you thinking she want to be pretty for her dance.
Something.
Yeah. Right. You putting yourself in a casket.
The sad thing is that an 8th grader is thinking about that.
That's because 2 of her brothers was killed.
Right. The other sad thing is that we are living in a world that people are not disturbed that an 8th grader is thinking that way. We've got a child here that's from Tennessee who thought about being a hero. And he's not going to be remembered like Miss Columbia will be. No. I mean, he's going to be forgotten. He's just going to be a typical African-American boy who lost his life because of gun violence.
And his mother has joined that unwanted club, I'd say, of mothers who lost their child to gun violence. And unfortunately, Mr. Brendan Perry was killed. And it's like, you know what? You're supposed to have sympathy because every life have a soul. But it's so hard to just say, oh, my God, I hope, and pray that their souls go right.
Yeah. Here's another thing I'm going to challenge our leaders. We've got to step up. We've got to step up and start saying that enough is enough. Our mission for 2016 in our churches and our organizations must be to change the focus of our youth, to change the focus of our African American youth, that they understand you can do all things. Now, if you don't want to say in Christ, that's up to you, but I'm going to say that you can do all things in Christ that strengthens me. That's what we've got to do. Our communities need to do that. Our churches need to do that. Our organizations need to do that. Tell these children they can do all things and provide it for them. How would it hurt us if we didn't go gave $20 or something to an organization to help to keep that person off? Would it hurt us to go into a a area like Cabrini Greens. Me and Wendell McCaster, Reverend Wendell McCaster, my friend, I'm praying for you, brother, and your mom. Love you, miss you, man. But let me say this. We used to go out in Cabrini Greens, and we would go there at 2 o'clock in the morning, and we'd be praying with brothers. We have played basketball with them at 2 o'clock in the morning. We sat down and talked to them. We about them. Why can't we do that? Why are we not doing that anymore? We do it for a moment. We protest for a moment. We argue for a moment, and then we stop.
I think we've gotten to be very selfish. And as people, I mean, it's true, you know, we don't even make eye contact when we walk down the streets anymore. You get in the elevator and you look up at the ceiling so you don't have to say anything to anybody. We don't seem to be as concerned about each other as when we were children, when it took a whole village to raise, you know, our children. So I think that sometimes that makes our young people look for someone else, and usually someone or something else is found in the streets, which is where a lot of our violence is coming from.
Yeah.
You know, it's said that we don't pay attention to our children.
We don't.
I know there's a lot of single parents out there. You trying to do the hustle on the ground, get the money in, and you don't pay attention. You do have to look at your child every now and then and see if something's wrong.
And you also need to make sure that your child realizes that you know, they get an opportunity themselves. They've got to be responsible. Hey, we'll be right back after these commercial breaks.
Hey, stay with us, because next we'll be talking about the human wrong decision, a mother who killed her abusive boyfriend. This is a good one, so stay with us, and thanks for listening.
Now boarding the McCain Train with Reverend Rick and author Brenda McCain. They're bringing hot and powerful topics regarding relevant issues on marriage, relationships, and life-changing family topics. And they are funny, engaging, energetic, and they bring real talk that reaches beyond the walls of the church. They have been successful because they have discussed topics like, help me, I want to grow old. My addiction is hurting my relationship. Aborted but not forgotten. Living in an HIV/AIDS relationship. The hand that loves me is hurting me. So if you want to know their glory, you have to know their backstory. So get on board the McCain Train and listen to the Let's Stay Together Internet Talk Show.
Hi, this is Reverend Rick McCain.
And this is Brenda McCain.
We'd like to thank you for listening to the Let's Stay Together Talk Show.
And riding the McCain Train every Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Here's what's going on this week on the Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Join us next week, December the 29th, 2015. Our topic, Reflections, 2015 Year in Review. Praise Production presents Generation Black, an American Renaissance, January the 16th, 2016. Martin Luther King weekend at 7 p.m. at the Harris Theater at Millennium Park. This theatrical production looks at present-day society and how race and color are depicted. Performances will move audience to tears while creating a catalyst for change. Come witness the experience of a lifetime. For tickets, visit harristheaterchicago.org or call 219-805-9074. Help New Faith Baptist Church International fight against Ebola and learn more about the Living Water campaign. Go to Amazon to support the Joseph Assignment. Go to www.smile.amazon.com. Right after our show, you could tune in to hear some great preaching at New Faith Baptist Church International with Pastor Trinell Felder. This broadcast comes on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. at WJYS. The Let's Stay Together talk show is going into the new year with some great new segments added to our show, such as The Next Stop and Making Marriage Work. We can't wait to have you on board for the ride in 2016. The Let's Stay Together talk show would like to say to all of our loyal listeners, Merry Christmas. This concludes our announcements.
UrbanBroadcastMedia.com Chicago and around the world where your voice is heard. This is UBM Talk.
This is Alvin Washington, news anchor for UBM News Talk, and you're listening to the Let's Stay Together talk show.
You are now returning to the Let's Stay Together talk show.
All right. Welcome back to the Let's Stay Together show. Hey, thank you for listening. We want to thank our loyal listeners for listening to the show. We really appreciate you listening to the Let's Stay Together show.
Hi, and, I just wanted to say to you also, I love when people call in or Facebook us and ask us to pray, but sometimes the prayers get a little personal for us. So I just wanted to reach out and ask everybody to join us in praying for my daughter, Jennifer. She's probably going to be mad at me, but, we want to get all the prayers we can,
Amen.
Going through some health issues right now.
I love you, baby girl.
We love you, Jennifer. And another prayer is going out to a dear friend of mine by the name of Michelle. Was in a terrible accident today. So please keep her in your prayers, because it's bad out here. People are driving crazy and just don't care about the human life because it was a hit and run. So please keep her, that name, Michelle, keep her lifted up in prayer for a speedy recovery.
Yeah, and y'all slow down out there. Michelle, we be praying for you. And again, I want to pray for my good friend, Wendell McCaster, and we're praying for you and your mom, man. I love you and I miss you.
Hey, we have some great new segments coming up in 2016. We still taking it to the stream in 2016 on the McCain train. One of our new segments is going to be called The Next Stop. So in order to ride this McCain train, you have to be ready to get on the next stop, because we'll be talking about different topics and different issues. And another one is Making Marriage Work. We're going to have some dynamic guests on for that show, and we're going to be able to introduce the McCains. For people could say, who are the McCains? We're going to have you meet the McCains. So thank you for being with us in 2015, and we're going to keep traveling and chugging and lugging into 2016.
Hey, so we were talking about earlier for the first hour, we're talking about the Steve Harvey situation. If you were trying to call in, we apologize. The phones had some issues with them. If you can, send us some information on Facebook, and we will talk about it from that point. And also we were talking about the men, the Tennessee young man.
Yeah, that was kind of just, for his parents out there, your son died a heroic death. But if that was his purpose to be here, I know as shallow as that sound, we thank God for having a man like Trevion out there. And a 15-year-old teenager acted like a man in honor to save his friends. But we're going to move on to another topic, which is called Advocates Rally for Jail Pregnant Mother Who Killed Her Abusive Boyfriend. Now, this is a good topic here.
Wait, Brenda, before we move on, I want to just say with the Tennessee teen, we had a comment where they said it was truly admirable that his last actions were used to save the lives of others. But it is a sad state of affairs that a teen would be put into a situation like that for no reason. The random, senseless violence committed in this country is really getting out of hand.
It is. And you know what, Tracy, the thing that get me, maybe I'm wrong for feeling this way, but that guy that shot at his mother and killed this young guy got off too easy. And people say, well, Brenda, he's dead. No, you got off too easy.
Exactly.
Because, see, you need to suffer for that. And yes, I'm a Christian, and that's wrong, what some people would say. But you took a life, and then the thing that get me, you tried to kill your mother. So it's some dynamic of demonic issues going on, some mental things going on there. He probably needed some help, because for you to pull the gun, of all the people we hear shooting and killing, you never hear them pulling it on their mama. That's something totally different. When you gonna pull a gun on your mama to try to hurt and kill her, and then get upset probably or something, because we don't know. We have a lot of unknowns with this story.
Yeah, my mama would have took the gun and pistol whipped me with her. Like,
right.
Crazy. Shoot, and those old school mamas we miss nowadays.
Yeah, that was serious.
Old school mama would have said that, boy, you crazy. Took the bullets out and whooped you with the bullets too.
In the Bible, it's like you better set your butt on
in
down
the name of Jesus. Hey, we want to also give a prayer for Al Greer. He is a well-known radio personality. He's been on radio in Chicago and actually probably around the world, who's in the hospital. So we're praying for you too, my brother. We look for you to give a speedy recovery. This is the Let's Stay Together show with Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain. Thank you for listening. And we also got Tracy Howard on there. I left the brown out this time.
You got it right.
This week.
Y'all act like I'm some kind of yellow school bus candidate. He got it right. I'm still getting it wrong with you two on the show.
You're getting it right with us on
Y'all
here.
up there talking about the main man. Don't you know who I am? Hey, y'all remember?
Who are you, baby?
I'm the Steve Harvey of the show.
Oh,
okay, so I can make a mistake because of my mistakes made you all better.
I was just going to say, I'm going to really be famous.
Yeah. Right.
When you get famous, let me know.
Let me tell you something. I learned from the best. I made a couple of mistakes just to make you all much better. So
is that it?
Just remember that.
Okay.
So where we going?
Alpha, Mr. Alpha Man.
Yes, roof.
Back to this story. The advocates rally for jail pregnant woman. Now, this young lady name was Naomi Freeman. And this story is touching to me because John Perry, her boyfriend, beat her, punched her 25 times while she was pregnant. And a lot of people have a lot of slack of saying, well, she still didn't have to kill him. You pregnant by this person. You just got fed up with all the punches. And maybe it was wrong for her to run him over, however she killed him. The thing, wait a minute, she did kill him, right? Yeah. It was wrong for her to do that. But the thing is, what is my opinion of it is that I don't understand the fact that you was with him so long and got pregnant by him and he was beating you up. I mean, I just wouldn't put myself in that situation, but that's Brenda.
Yeah, and that is Brenda because, and in situations like that, you've got to think of the mentality of the individual. That does happen where people put themselves in abusive situations, not only in domestic violence, you do it in alcohol, smoking. I mean, people will put themselves in abusive situations because of the love that they feel for an individual. You would assume that he didn't start off beating her. It was just something that progressed in time. And it is easy to sit there and tell someone to leave. And a lot of people that are not in that situation, that has not made that human mistake, will sit there and say, you should just leave. You should just leave. But in a lot of times, mentally, the person doesn't have the capability to move because they don't know what the next step is. Yeah. As our new episode is going to be, the next step. I don't know what the next step is.
Yeah,
the next step, it's the same thing. It's a step stop.
That's right, Steve.
Like I said. But they don't know what the next step is because now I'm thinking, if I leave him, where do I go? I've got a child. She may have not have been working. She may have not had the finances. And so in a lot of cases, people stay somewhere because of those issues. Not saying it is right, but we have to look at the mentality of the individual as to why something happened. I want to reel back to say it should never happen.
And it shouldn't, but let's dissect this story. She was in the car with her boyfriend who was punching and beating her 25 times. She got out of the car, and assumingly he got out of the car, but she got back in because, like I'm saying, you could snap, and I truly understand that. She snapped. She got back in the car, backed it up, and rolled over this man. And the thing is, she was fed up. You already fed up to the fact that he's beating you, but you're pregnant with it. And I've never been pregnant, but I'm sure you have all those hormones going on and emotions going on, heightened, that most people are saying that you got back in the car, you could have just drove away. You made the conscious decision to go back, make a U-turn, and pin Perry down in your car to make sure he's dead.
And the law, has to follow the law. And she did kill someone. And so arresting that individual is the thing to do. That's the just thing to do according to the laws that we serve in the United States. We have to look at also the mentality of that individual who, we've got policemen out there that have killed people and say, I feared for my life, and they get away with it. Here is a person who was getting beaten, and at one time, like you said, she snapped, and she just figures, I've got to do something to make sure this never happens again. I understand the law putting her in jail because of what she has done, but we have to do something to help this woman mentally for what has happened, not just penalize her because she took a life.
Well, no, Rick, that she is not alone, because there are currently 2,000 battered women in America who are serving prison time for defending their lives against their batterers.
Yeah. You know, that's the sad part when it comes to domestic abuse, because they only do something when they're killing you as that victim. It's like, okay, we'll arrest him. Now, you could get a restraining order on him. He's still coming after you. But when a woman stands up for herself and decides to fight back, she's the one going to jail. And unfortunately, in this case with Naomi Freeman, the good thing is she had those mothers who are rallying for her. And I think they raised, $25,000. They're trying to get $25,000 to help her. But the sad part is she's sitting in jail waiting a trial for a man who was constantly beating her.
Okay, but let's look at the fact of this. It's not a sad part that she's in jail. She did kill someone.
Yeah, she did the crime.
So, as Beretta says, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Don't do it. She did snap, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Brenda was saying it's a shame that she's sitting in prison, because they're saying the average prison sentence of men who kill their women partners is 2 to 6 years. Women who kill their male partners are sentenced to an average of up to 15 years.
Wow.
See, what's wrong with that
Wait a
picture?
minute. Despite the fact that most women who kill do it in self-defense.
Yeah, and see, when the man do it, it's premeditated because he's an abuser. But when a woman does it, it is self-defense, and yet we get more time for it. That is very sad. The system needs to change.
I would agree that, if someone is doing something in self-defense, but you've got to look at what self-defense means. If someone is hitting me and I'm fighting them at that time, and by me hitting them back kills them, or someone trying to come into my house or kill me, and at that time I have a gun in my hand and I shoot them, that is considered by law self-defense. If you get away from the individual and then you come back to fight them or harm them or kill them, that is not considered self-defense, because you've now escaped from being injured. And so what the law basically says is, because you have left the scene or you've been able to get away from the person hurting you, you coming back now re-instigates the situation, and you now become the person that's causing the harm or the inflict on the individual, not the other way around. Now, if she was still there and she's in there and he's fighting her, and somehow or another he dies in the car or something happens where he pulls the wheel and the car happened to run over him, yes. Right. But when she gets back into the car, drives it up a little and then comes back, that is considered you now being the person that's killing someone premeditatively, even though she may have not been in her right mind to do that. And so the law is actually following what the law is supposed to follow in that aspect. But it is sad, because in the law following that, the law needs to look more in depth about domestic violence against women and what women have to go through. And if they see a history of something like that happening, they have to take account that the mental capacity of an individual will at one point snap, as you say, or lose its consciousness to a point that it feels that the best thing they can do is defend themselves. If it can be something that a police officer can say, you have to take accountability that a woman who has been battered should have the same right to say, hey, I thought he was going to kill me, so I defended myself. If a person can be 10 feet away from you with supposedly a knife in his hand and you shoot him 16 times and can get away with it, or if a person can be in jail and she just gets pulled over from a ticket in Texas and she dies and they don't do anything against her, then you know what? They should be able to do that as well.
You know, the sad part with that makes me think about if a robber is in someone's house and you have a gun, you have authority, a licensed gun, and this person broke into your house. Tracy, help me here. Is it that can you shoot him while he's in your house? But if his back is turned against you, you the one going to jail?
Well, from what I understand, you can shoot him in your house. But if he's outside, then it's a whole different story. What they kind of say is that the crime has to be equal. So if you walk up to me and slap me, I can't get away with shooting you. I can slap you back. You know, so things are supposed to be equal in that way. Okay. So that's what you got to kind of do.
Hey, we're going to let our producer Alvin say something. What was you talking about when you was in their office?
I came across a term that popped up on my timeline from a woman who has studied this situation extensively.
Which study?
Studied the domestic violence on both sides of the coin, because believe it or not, women can also be accused of domestic violence as well. It's just not talked about because, and this is just being fair. It's just being fair. It's not talked about because of how society views men and women in their particular roles in a relationship. That being said, it's a term I saw called gaslighting. And basically what this situation that we had with the young lady, her attacker, stalker, whoever this gentleman is, has got her to the point where she just snapped. You know, she couldn't take it anymore. And so she had to do what she had to do. Granted, this was a bit overbearing, but let's see what led up to this.
Yeah, the backstory of it.
The backstory is this was a pattern of domestic abuse.
Yes.
Otherwise known as gaslighting. And it renders its victims in a way mentally that is, you know, they have no choice at one point but to snap. You know, and you know, the courts need to be a bit more lenient in these cases because of that pattern. And again, it does happen on both sides. It's not reported when women do it to men because of the societal norms that have been placed here in America.
Yeah, and also, Alvin, and thank you very much for that. Also, another thing is that it doesn't happen that much that women do it to men. So, I mean, we got to be, you know, fair to that aspect that women don't kill men as much as men kill women. And so we appreciate him bringing that information up to us. That
was gaslighting.
Yeah,
there, right?
Yeah, I think he said it was gaslighting. Though I know Tracy's looking that up, but the terminology aside is that we know that domestic violence happens on both sides, but domestic violence is probably 90% or even higher that it happens against women. Or even more than men, children are sometimes victim of domestic violence as well, and sometimes we forget it. But in this situation with the lady, I mean, she's been beat so many times by this individual, and you've got to look at also the mentality, because it breaks down that person's ability to have a positive outlook about themselves, their encouraging feelings or how they feel about themselves. Is gone because this person has not only probably beat them mentally, they probably also said some abusive things as well that can tear down the individual. And so I think I want to say to the men out there, if you've got to be with a woman and you figure that you need to put her hands on her, then you need to leave. Hit yourself if that's the case. If there's something so wrong about her that you've got to put your hands on her, then you need to leave. Because there is nothing about her. My wife's, I've been with her for 21 years. She can get on my nerves, yeah. Let me tell you, I know I don't get on her nerves. I'm perfect, but she can get on my nerves. There is nothing that she can do that says that I should put my hands on her because she says something I didn't like or she did something I didn't like. At that point, then you need to start separating yourselves from that individual instead of just saying, she made me mad, so I hit her. Well, now then you need to leave. Leave her alone so that child does not, because she has a child too, so that child doesn't see that.
she was pregnant with her third child. So let's assume that the other two was his children. I'm gonna give her that all the children come from one person. Let's hope. But the thing is, they lost their father. See, it's a whole domino effect. They're losing their mother.
They didn't have a father.
No, they didn't. But biologically,
a man gave birth to them. You're a father. A man gave. He was a part of the birth of them. He gave the seed. But a man becomes a father when you're responsible, and that responsibility starts with treating that child's mother with respect.
Yeah,
that's when you become a man, because you're not a man until you learn how to treat that woman right.
Reverend, you got some preaching.
I got a lot of preaching to do that. Don't step up to the plate of a man when you're beating a woman, because you're a boy, you're a child, you're a punk as far as I'm concerned.
See, you have opinion about that, Rick?
I do.
He strongly do.
Because that's not a father. Because a father doesn't teach a child that you beat on somebody because you don't like something she did. That's not a father. That is a punk. That is a person that doesn't know what it means to be a man.
And in response to your question, Brenda, the term gaslighting is a mind game, a common form of brainwashing in which an abuser tries to falsely convince the victim that the victim is defective for any purpose whatsoever, such as making the victim more pliable and easily controlled, or making the victim more emotional and therefore more needy and dependent.
Yeah.
You know what? Ooh, I don't like stuff like that.
And again, we're not saying that the man should have died. He shouldn't. No, that's not even the point. He shouldn't have died. What he did was wrong. Mm-hmm. People make mistakes. Now, he made it 25 times. Probably that's all she's counting. But, people make mistakes. It doesn't mean that he should have died from it. But let's say this much. Once you start hitting on someone, eventually that person's going to hit back.
She literally hit back.
And you're going to have to take the consequences of someone hitting you back. And I'm not for killing someone. I'm definitely not for killing someone. But I am for understanding the mental capacity of an individual as to why they did this and what caused them to do that. If this is something that you don't see a pattern, because this person has never had a problem at all with any law or anything at all. Mm-hmm. If you don't see a pattern of that, and you know that this derived solely from the beating of a person from another individual, then you have to look at the mentality of it and say, does this person need to be in jail, or does she need to be in some kind of psychiatric counseling so she can get better, and then find out, is this premeditated? That's what you've got counselors for and psychotherapists for.
Right.
You go ahead.
Well, Tracy, help me out here. While you was pregnant, could you imagine Donald or anyone hitting you 25 times?
Heck no.
And see, I'm saying all the emotions that you go through, you're pregnant, your hormones are raging, you uncomfortable. We don't know how many months she's pregnant. But my point is, you shouldn't hit her anyway. But it's something about a pregnant lady that you just go, hey, it's off limits. You don't even want to really argue with them because they're carrying another life up in there.
But part of what you just said is the key. The hitting women while they're pregnant happens more often than you probably realize it. But the thing is this. Here I am, a pregnant woman, a pregnant woman with other children. I need you in my life because I've got these children to take care of. I'm pregnant. I want to keep my baby daddy around. So that's what the gaslighting thing, it's making you feel like you need this person in your life. So every time you get abused and they come back and say, I'm sorry, I love you, it's not going to happen again, you get conditioned to this. So that's why it's so hard to walk away. That's why it's so hard to just say, I don't need you. It's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, it's difficult to do that. And, you were saying to Tracy, you're pregnant, and that's understand. But I can look at you and say, you're a woman. Let me ask you, would you want someone to beat you?
No.
I mean, I don't want someone to beat me that don't like me. Now, let's look at this. I don't want someone to beat me that doesn't like me. How am I going to feel when someone that says that they love me is beating me? who says they like me is beating. I don't want anyone to beat me. Matter of fact, if I make a mistake and hit me in the face, I'm going to be mad.
I know you. Yeah, you do.
You know, like, you know how sometimes you hit yourself, something like, darn it, I don't want someone who don't like me to beat me. Now, imagine the mentality of an individual who feels that this man loves you, cares for you, has had a child through you, and yet he has so much disrespect for you as a woman that he puts his hands on you and beats you. That in itself is a psychological thing that I would never understand as a woman, that you all may understand, that you go through when that man says he loves you, but his love is more enforced by his hand than his heart.
Well, you know, let's talk about that, Rick, because statistics say that 1 in 6 pregnant women have been abused by a partner. And that's across all ethnic lines, you know, everything like that. And it's unfortunate that a lot of times the abuse gets worse during the pregnancy, because things that can trigger it would be because they're upset because this is an unplanned pregnancy. They're stressed about the financial thought about supporting either a first baby or another baby, and then jealous that the attention shifts from the partner to this new baby.
You know, that's just ridiculous.
That's a weak man right there.
I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to get upset. I brought life into the world, but I'm going to be mad at you. And that's unfortunate. I mean, we're downplaying it, but it happens. So we have to look at the mentality of the man, too. Let's not, I mean, I know a lot of people out there, and thank you for listening. Once again, this is Reverend Rick McCain, along with Brenda McCain and Tracy Brown Howard, on the thing, giving us our statistics. Thank you very much today, Tracy. This is going to be our new format that we're going to be doing also on the show as well. But as a man, you know, you've got to look at the fact also, what has caused this man to do this? Is this systematic? Is this a part of his life? Did he see this? Is it, you know, did he, no, is this what you see on television? How did this happen? Where, I mean, you know, back in the days, you know, men used to beat their wives, as you know, too, and it wasn't really talked about that much because women didn't have any rights. So, you know, hey, you just stay in the kitchen and you just be quiet. Now, you know, it's more, you know, something that they talk about because of, you know, equal rights that we have now. But the fact of the matter is, what are we doing to look at systematically, why does this happen? Why does a man feel that he has to beat his woman down instead of lift him up? If the Bible says that a woman is supposed to lift her husband up, to bring her king and to admonish him and to give him glory and give him honor and lift him up so you can help his ego, because we need that ego help.
Yes.
How are you going to have a woman to lift you up when you're pulling her down, when you're beating her down?
That's the thing to get me, when you, what is it, bra beating her or whatever, when you just riding her all the time, making her feel inapt, but yet you want her to uplift you. But see, in this case like that, I do see that as a generational curse. I see that as someone that's seen that, lived that in their household, and didn't have a structure of a good man raising him. So that's how that worked. But we're about to go into another commercial break, and we want you to stay tuned with us because we're going to be talking about non-humans that are living better than humans for Christmas. And this is going to be a funny one. So thanks for listening, and stay with us on the McCain train for our last 30 minutes.
Good evening. The Let's Stay Together show presents Point of View by Donna Terrell.
As I reflect back on the years of Christmas past, I see that Christmas can be a marker for life. When you're a happy kid, your world revolves around Santa Claus. Then when you're an analytical kid, you figure out that there cannot possibly be 18 Santas on one single retail block. But believing in Santa or not, I still had that Christmas morning excitement. It was always such anticipation and suspense leading up to Christmas that sleeping on Christmas Eve night was impossible. Even as an only child, I rose up early to leap into the bounty of toys and gifts under the tree just for me. Then I'm in my teens, and getting out of bed at 5 and 6 in the morning on a non-school day was so not going to happen. Then I'm single, and the only thing I wanted for Christmas was somebody to love and love me back. Then I'm with the boyfriend, and I wanted him to be the fiancé. I had my mind set on a big diamond ring for Christmas that I didn't get. Think about how old you were or where you were in life when you no longer believed in Santa Claus, when you stopped waking up early to unwrap gifts, when you wanted what money can't buy, when giving to and buying for others are more important than receiving, when you realize that you have everything you need and want. I hope that this Christmas finds you in a very good place and that you're happy and content. Merry Christmas. For Let's Stay Together, this is Point of View by Donna Terrell.
This is Reverend Rick McCain. The Let's Stay Together talk show is a Christian show that seeks to bring the lost to Christ through discussing relationships that can be taboo to the church. Within these conversations, we seek to bring you into a closer relationship with Christ, where our desire is to teach and tell you that God loves you and will never leave you nor forsake you. If you have never accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you can do that now by repeating these words. Jesus, I believe that you've died for my sins, and that by acknowledging that you are God's chosen vessel that died on the cross for the remission of sins, my sins are forgiven. Tonight, I accept you as my Lord and Savior, and I will live my life according to your will. By saying these words, you are now a child of God. It may not seem or feel like anything has changed, but you have now just transformed the eternity of your life. The Spirit of God is now a part of you and will lead you in the ways of the Lord. Your next step should be to find a church with a solid foundation of teaching God's Word, where you can learn more about this new life with Christ from other Christians. Welcome to the family of believers, and remember, God loves you, and so does the Let's Stay Together talk show.
You are now returning to the Let's Stay Together talk show.
All right. Welcome back to the Let's Stay Together show. Hey, thank you for listening to our show. We appreciate you being out there. We hope you enjoy the conversations that we've been talking about on our current situations. The first thing we was talking about was the Steve Harvey mistake. You heard about what I said. I think that the Miss Columbia is very fortunate that Steve Harvey made a mistake. And I'm going to say it again. Anyone out there that knows Steve Harvey, tell him that Reverend McCain from the Let's Stay Together show is looking for him to make that kind of mistake for our show so we can be just as famous as Miss Columbia is going to be. She's going to get a lot of money. She's going to probably be a millionaire because Steve Harvey made a mistake. Let me tell you something. Thick can't do that. I mean, he might be as thick as thieves, but you ain't as popular as Steve Harvey to make somebody a millionaire. Hey, we also talked about the Tennessee teen who has shielded some of his friends and lost his life in a heroic effort that he had did, and also the young lady who just kind of lost it, and her boyfriend was beating her 25 times, and she decided to ride things into her own hands. And decided to roll over the young man and ended his life, and we were talking about, should she be in jail or should she be on some kind of a psychiatric location where she can get some help. Now we're going to go to a story that is just, we always try to bring a little funny story in, and this was just crazy to me.
Okay, this story just tickles me. Dog owner spends almost $5,000. Dog owner, you heard me, dog owner spends almost $5,000 on Christmas presents for her pampered pooch. The dog name is Prince, and he is a Chinese crested dog who she loved to lavish with extravagant things. This is Britain's most famous pooch. This baby dog is living large. $5,000.
Living la vida what is it? Living la vida. I don't know.
Local.
There's something like that. Yeah, I didn't messed up again. Somebody famous.
I think the mother of this dog, Miss Emma, has lost her mind. But if you have money like that, you can't, tell people what to do with their money that they make.
You can't ever tell anybody what to do with their money, but she lost her mind.
She lost her mind. This dog has everything from tuxedos, diamonds, everything you could think of that I'm sure some humans that are homeless would love just a meal.
And they've got some homeless people in Europe. I mean, this woman's from Europe. She spent over 500,000 euros on the dog. Now, one of the things that she did, she bought a customized duck egg blue throne encrusted and pearl crystal. What is that word again there? On their Swarovski crystal bed for the dog for $2,000.
Babe, I think we need that foam mattress with matching pillows.
Right.
Because, the dog even sleeping better than we are. I'm like, really?
He received 3 customized tuxedos.
Tell him the price now.
At $825. Mm-hmm. The dog has other new clothes and a Santa suit that you'll see on Facebook when we get out there that costs $200.
Now his grooming products cost $200.
Now the dog is, most dogs you get some Alpo and you get some water. This dog here gets treated with herbal tea, coconut oil.
They say coconut oil good for you.
Coconut chips. Mm-hmm. He gets fruit chips, and also he gets superfood, not just regular food. It's superfood. And he has a feather and down sleeping bag that costs $52. He has his own special organic turkey dinner that costs $20 a plate. Are you kidding me?
Oh, you sound like you jealous. You jealous.
Hey, shoot. That turkey dinner is probably better than most people's turkey dinner. $20? This ain't no meat by product turkey.
No, wait a minute. His mama, because they pet parents. His mother Emma says, like his namesake, he is called Prince. He likes the finer things in life, and I enjoy spoiling him. He really is my little prince. That's either a lady who has too much time on her hands or a lady who never birthed a child.
And it might be that, she probably never birthed a child. But even the boyfriend supposedly spoils the dog as well. But I'm like, come on now.
He's spoiled him too because he's the ring bearer for their wedding.
Right, the dog.
Really, the dog.
The dog is going to be the ring bearer for the wedding. Now, there's some little kid out there right now that's really hurt that he got replaced by a dog. Now, not only that, I'm quite sure the dog is going to be better dressed than most of the people in the wedding.
Yeah, his tuxedo is $825.
$825 for the tuxedo for the dog. Mm-hmm. I mean, where do you go that somebody is making a tuxedo for a dog at $825? I mean, some of y'all out there, I know you love your pets. I know you probably say, y'all ain't being fair. I love my pet too. Call me right now. I'll even give you my cell phone number to call me, but I'm not going to. Call me right now. Facebook me right now and tell me how much are you spending on your dog that you're reaching up to $5,000. Now I know there's somebody out there. I didn't spend $100. I didn't spend $150. Okay, I still think you look crazy, but you ain't that crazy.
Right, but I could see them going up to 100 because the dog food is so high.
Right. When you get up to over $1,000, now we're not talking about she spent $5,000 for the year. She did this for Christmas. Mm-hmm. That's all. She did this for Christmas. So that means that this dog has gotten a much. And if you see the pictures of the dog, Tracy's going to try to put one out there.
There's a Santa picture up right now.
This dog is sitting up there like, he know he should be getting this.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a dog that looks like, I should be getting this? Mm-hmm. This dog needs to be in the ghetto. Put him out in the ghetto. Let him have a dog bark at him so he can feel what it means to be along his own people. This dog he's in the house like he's a human. Mm-hmm. He's sitting up in some pictures like he's waiting. What dog do you know that gets herbal tea?
Well, Tracy, you have a dog. What are you getting for Christmas?
Ooh, I knew you were going to ask that.
and he listened on the show, too, like,
See, and remember I always tell you how I didn't let my children play with other children who had better things than them? That's the same way I feel about my dog. Because my dog is lucky when my grandson doesn't eat his food and drink his water and sleeps in his bed. So I do not do those kind of things for my dog, and I feel really bad now.
Wow. I mean, I'm glad you don't break the bank spending your money, money on your dog like that. I know you love him.
Yeah, I mean, he has a bed that's like, I think I got maybe for $10 that he never sleeps in. And he has a bowl of food and a bowl of water. And like I said, usually he's fighting Cameron for the food and water.
Cameron don't know.
Yeah, I can guarantee Prince don't know nothing about IKEA.
Yeah.
I mean, this dog has over 200 custom-made outfits. Custom-made outfits.
I think the only outfit he's ever had was one of the kids, probably Jennifer, because Jennifer treats her dog a little bit better, bought him a little reindeer hat or something. She bought the two dogs like little reindeer ears or suits or something for Christmas. But no, my dog is definitely not a pampered pooch.
I don't think. Okay. I think pampered pooch for some people is when people go out of town and they put their dog in a kennel. That's being pampered.
No, the dog in a hotel.
Yeah. That's a little bit more pet.
One time we did go out of town and we had to put him in the
One time
we put him in the kennel, and again, Jennifer loves her dog. She paid to have him TV.
Yeah. He had paid him to have him TV.
Yeah, because you just put him in the little thing.
Okay.
But she did
Jennifer
pay to
crazy
get him
too.
Yes, she is.
Okay.
They have movies and spas.
So let me say this. Now, the dog, before the morning starts, he gets a bubble bath. His skin is massaged and moisturized, and his teeth are brushed.
Lord, my dog ain't seen a bath in so long.
This dog, Prince, gets organic chicken breast, organic vegetables. He gets scrambled eggs, and this happens twice a day. His lunch consists of fruit salad and goat milk yogurt topped with honey.
Manuka honey.
A jar that costs $45 per jar. Okay? The coconut oil, the dash of coconut oil that he gets is $20 a jar. Okay? Emma, it says every month Emma spends an average of $250 on free-range food for Prince, as well as $200 a month for clothes. This is a dog that she's spending on that. And we also said he already said he's going to be the ring bearer for it. This, to me, is crazy that you're going through this much for a dog. There's got to be some orphanage out there right now that is saying, can you help us, please?
And no offense to her baby, the dog look high as a kite on it.
Oh, stop.
Let me tell you something.
This dog look like he high.
I'm going to tell you something.
He gave him too much coconut oil.
Probably is.
There is some pictures on there that dog look like he think he's something.
Yeah.
He got a look on his face like he is royalty.
Yeah,
I mean, but, we can't blame the dog. Hey, kudos to the dog. The dog is like Miss Columbia, okay? he just like Miss Columbia. He didn't fell into a mistake. and he happy. You can't blame the dog. Is like
a royalty.
I can see the dog right now and say, "Hey, don't come over here barking on my tree."
Yeah, messing my good thing up.
He gonna call the Let's Stay Together show.
He gonna be upset, and he gonna be calling the owner of the show. I'm like, wait a minute, just because ain't nobody buying him $850 worth of suits, don't be barking about what I'm getting. The dog. Kudos to you, Prince, that you're getting this. My thing is that what is going on with Emma?
Tell them Emma runs her own internet business called Glamour Pets from her home and Lou Borough Leaks, and then takes Prince for a walk. Now, the thing that gets me with Miss Emma, this is straight out to you. I'm talking to you, Emma. If you could hear this all the way in Britain, which I know you can't, I'm praying
it gets
for
out
you.
there. It's internet. It get out there.
Okay, well, you done lost your mind, Miss Emma. This dog, you give him $5,000 just for Christmas. There's so many charities that you could help donate to.
But we don't know if she does it. We don't know if she does it. Let's be fair. We don't know.
For the sake of what we're reading.
She might. There's a charity called Let's Stay Together show you can donate to right now, but
really
we don't know that.
Emma.
We don't know that she's not. We don't.
And personally, that jewelry, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Swarovski, that's some fine crystal jewelry. If you want to donate to the Let's Stay Together show to Tracy, Howard, and Brenda McCain, because Rick don't wear jewelry. We will wear it.
If it's fine jewelry, I'll take it. I'll sell it somewhere. Hey, eBay.
You know what though, Brenda?
Amazon.
They say that that Americans in general spend over $61 billion a year on their dogs or pets.
Yeah, but they say that the average that most people spend on like about a couple of $100. I thought I saw something like that. They don't get that crazy. I mean, worldwide, in the United States, yeah, it's people spend a lot of money on their dogs, but I ain't seen I've seen a ghetto dog just as happy. I don't know.
Man, he is.
I think that ghetto dog would be a little bit upset when he look at Prince like, what?
He like, I got food today? Yes.
If you put that dog in a kennel and he see Prince, he going to be like, what the heck is going on?
Well, let's talk about this for a second. Between 12 and 27% of pet owners provide provisions for their pets in their wills.
Oh, wow.
And their wheels.
And their
wheels. For instance, there's, let me see, a hotel heiress, Leona Hemsley, who died in 2007, made her Maltese her biggest heir, leaving a $12 million trust fund for the pooch in her will.
I did.
And
I seen that movie.
They disinherit 2 of her grandchildren.
Yeah, seriously. I remember seeing she's Queen of Mean on a Lifetime movie. This lady was, when I say mean, treated humans. She dehumanized humans that worked for her because she was so evil and loved her dog so much. Can you imagine? You just discard your family and give your money to a dog? But you know how that goes. Someone have to be the attorney of power for that dog to get that
power
money.
of attorney, yeah. And, once again, this is Reverend Rick McCain with Brenda and Tracy on the Let's Stay Together show. We're talking about Prince, the dog that is getting about $5,000 spent for him on Christmas. If you are somehow or another spending some money on your dog that's a little bit, outlandish, give us a text or a Facebook and let us know how much you're spending on your dog. I want to see if there's somebody out there that's getting close to $1,000. If you can send me $1,000 receipt, you know what I'm gonna give you? I'm gonna give you a therapist
right,
to call. That's going to be your prize. We've got a couple of therapists on the show, but I just want to know, are you spending that much money on your dog, close to, $1,000 just for Christmas now? I want to know that.
Oh, no, I was just looking at, it's always not just dogs. They were talking about Michael Jackson and his chimp Bubbles that he left $1 million to.
Yeah,
We should leave it at chimp Bubbles.
But they wanted to make sure he had a secure long-term future.
But come on now.
Okay, if it makes you feel better, they said Bubbles hasn't seen a penny of his inheritance.
I'm sure he hasn't.
He now lives in an animal sanctuary in Florida.
Right. He's probably sitting up there saying, where's my money? Let me tell you something. Bubbles, you don't know. He was the king of that movie, Planet of the Apes. That was Bubbles. He went crazy because you didn't give him his money, and now he's in the forest right now trying to get revenge. You're gonna see part 3 coming in a second. Why do people leave money? To me, that's like the ultimate insult to your family, that you want to leave somebody money to a dog or a chimp or something like that. That is just, you know the animal's not going to be able to claim it. That's like the lottery, having a lottery ticket that no one wins, and they just sit the money and nobody ever gets it. They roll it over. You need to roll this over to somebody that can get it. I don't care if you don't like your family members. Leave something for them. If anything, give it to charity. You cannot sit there and just say, I'm going to give it to an animal, knowing that animal's not getting it. Now, here's the bad thing about it. There's somebody right now that has spent Bubbles' money, I can guarantee you, and it's probably a lawyer that has spent that money somehow over legal fees and stuff like that. But it's kind of crazy that people are spending this much money on holiday gifts for their animals. And, we have to be cognizant that we do have family people out there.
And I do want to say this. This is the week of our Lord and Savior's birthday. So Merry Christmas out there. A couple more days. I know a lot of you guys probably was out there doing last-minute Christmas shopping. But be safe out there and have a great Christmas Eve and a great Christmas Day, because this is the week of that. And I'm sitting up here thinking, in my mind, Christmas next week.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, I don't know why, but it's like, oh my God, Christmas is Friday, right?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yes.
I'm wishing everybody a Merry Christmas. We are thankful that it was we celebrate the Lord Jesus Christ's birth. Mm-hmm. And for those of you all who don't, shame on you. I appreciate that the greatest gift that I've ever received is life, and that more abundantly. And we hope that everyone will enjoy their Christmas holidays. And, don't stress out too much about the fact that you can't get little Bubbles what he want. And, you're upset that Prince got more than your child did. Don't worry about that. What your child should learn is that the greatest gift that they have is that they have a family. And I think sometimes we forget about that. The greatest part of Christmas to me, as a kid, is that, you got the gifts, but you've got to remember and train up a child the way they should go, to let them know that it's the family that's important. I know there's still some people out there that thinks, there's a Santa Claus coming through a chimney. That lost me a longer time ago when I lived in the projects, and we lived on, we're in the 15 floors, and he got to go through a chimney that has fire coming down. And I don't, now they lying to kids, tell them Santa sent this in a teleprompter. Yeah, okay. Kids like, really?
No, but you know what? Okay, we have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
Why don't we just go on and wrap this on up, and then I'm going to make that statement. The McCain train has pulled into our last stop, and we want to say thank you for joining us out there and listening to us, because we know you are busy Christmas shopping, but thank you for taking the time to listen to us. And we want to thank Tracy Howard for joining us on the panel tonight for Current Situations, along with Mr. Alvin Washington, our producer. So join us, though, next week. We got a good topic coming up when we pull into the McCain train, and we're going to be Reflections 2015 Year in Review.
Yeah,
it's going to be pretty good.
That is going to be great. And what were you going to say, babe?
I forgot.
Okay.
It'll come back to me. The old age creeping up.
Yeah, wake up in the middle of the night. Rick,
She gonna say, can we get back on the radio? I remember. Right. No, baby, it's Saturday now.
Did forget.
Ain't that something? Wow.
What's that vitamin that you take? Ginkgo memory.
I wish when she asked me for some money, she would forget that quick. I'm gonna change the subject real quick. Hey, babe, what you talking about? And say, I don't know what I wanted. Whoo, I got out, dodged the bullet there.
You know what? And really quickly, I want to say that I hope more people are feeling the real spirit of Christmas, because I have noticed that, like on my block, there's only 2 Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that means that the spirit of Christmas, like you said, in the celebration of, our Savior's birth, is what we are recognizing this year.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't. Because, granted, Jesus Christ was our greatest gift, and that's why we do give gifting and giving, and they always say it's better to give than receive. And giving is not just a gift in a box wrapped with a pretty bow. I always tell people you could give of your time. You could lend an ear. That's giving. Because some people, the best gift to him is to have people to listen. Seniors out there love when someone comes visit them and just listen to them or help them around the house. Because a lot of people do get depressed around this time. Suicide rates go up. You know, it's nostalgic. You think about loss of family members. It's so much to be grateful for. And I think people really need to look at that.
Yeah, that is true. You know, so we're going to, thank everyone for listening, and hopefully you will have a great Christmas. The McCain train has, we're going to be finish up the year. We've been very blessed to have you as listening audience. We appreciate it very much that you've changed over from one channel to another. We used to be on 102.3. What is it? 102.3, right?
102.3.
102.3. We started off there, and now we're at UBM, and God only knows where we'll be at, at the end of next year. God only knows, right, where we're going to be. And we appreciate you just staying with us, listening to the show, adding your feedback on Facebook and all of the locations. We also appreciate all the guests that have came on to our show for the year 2015. It has been a blessed year, and a lot of that blessing is because of you, because of the support that you've given people like Cassie and Jeff Short, Cassie Graham, Jeff Short, who have donated money for to our show. We want to thank all the people who have helped donate to the show. We want to also thank Stephanie Scott, who has helped us out. We have to thank Tracy for being always there for us. Providing pictures, pulling up information as well. Tracy has been probably the only other person that's been on this show with us longer than we have been on ourselves. So we thank you very much, Tracy, for all you've done. Thank you for making 2015 a Merry Christmas for us. And I want to thank my baby, my girl, my boo, because without her, a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen. You don't see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff that happens, but Brenda puts a lot of it together. She's doing the studying. She's doing the research. She's looking for all the information. You know, this is what you call, having a helpmate, because she does a lot of excellent things. So I thank you very much for that, baby.
Thank you, baby. And thank you for being that covenant husband that do not beat his wife.
Yeah, well, right.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you for listening to the Let's Stay Together show. We'll see you next week at 6 p.m. Hey, I'm going to end this real quick as the music is playing, singing Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire.
Sing it.
Jack Frost nipping at your nose. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to the Let's Stay Together show. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas! You could have gave me some Donny Hathaway. Here's what's going on this week on the Let's Stay Together talk show. Join us next week, December the 29th, 2015. Our topic, Reflections, 2015 Year in Review. Praise Production presents Generation Black, an American Renaissance, January the 16th, 2016. Martin Luther King weekend at 7 p.m. at the Harris Theater at Millennium Park. This theatrical production looks at present-day society and how race and color are depicted. Performances will move audience to tears while creating a catalyst for change. Come witness the experience of a lifetime. For tickets, visit harristheaterchicago.org or call 219-805-9074. Help New Faith Baptist Church International fight against Ebola and learn more about the Living Water campaign. Go to Amazon to support the Joseph Assignment. Go to www.smile.amazon.com. Right after our show, you could tune in to hear some great preaching at New Faith Baptist Church International with Pastor Trinell Felder. This broadcast comes on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. at WJYS. The Let's Stay Together talk show is going into the new year with some great new segments added to our show, such as The Next Stop and Making Marriage Work. We can't wait to have you on board for the ride in 2016. The Let's Stay Together talk show would like to say to all our loyal listeners, Merry Christmas. This concludes our announcements.